Good afternoon. I pray that your Thursday was filled with spaces and places of joy, maybe a time of peace, maybe a time of happiness, maybe a time where you on purpose decided to eat something healthy. I know a lot of the time when we may be feeling a little more anxious or a little bit more depressed, it can affect our eating and we grab comfort food. And during this COVID-19 pandemic, we have been impacted since March, and this is now July, and it's really getting old. And I'm not going to tell you not to reach for that comfort food, but I pray that there were spaces and places where you at least ate something intentionally that was healthy, that you practiced a little bit of clean eating, even as you ate those other things that comfort the soul. Now, I'm going to mind my business on that one. And so we're back to our topic. We've been talking about toxic relationships and some traits that come as a result of childhood trauma that can impact relationships. And so we started yesterday, and I gave you 5 things about codependency, 5 traits of people who are codependent. And I'm going to continue. If you'd like to see those first 5, I invite you to watch the video I posted yesterday, but we're going to continue. So codependents wall off their own feeling. And so we know, as I've talked about before, when you sustain a trauma, the first thing that happens after the trauma occurs is you determine, I'm never going to be caught off guard again. I'm not going to trust again. And I'm also not going to allow myself to feel. Now, these are not necessarily conscious decisions, but they happen on the subconscious. And so why not feel? Because feeling the fear, feeling the anger, feeling the pain is overwhelming, can feel overwhelming. And so even the response to it, the overall intensity of those feelings that occur after you have been violated or after you have experienced a trauma feels so overwhelming that you decide, I can't go there. Because if I allow myself to feel, I may not be able to come back. So you pledge, I'm not going to feel, and you wall off your feelings. But the reality, in what my article I've been reading says, we can't wall off only the painful feelings. And I say that all the time. You can't decide which feelings you don't want to experience. If you're going to shut down and not feel, then you won't feel the good feelings either. And you become disconnected from your feelings. So you have a harder time enjoying life. You have a harder time finding those places and spaces of joy. That's why I say that at the beginning of every video, finding those places and spaces of joy, of positivity, because if you've been traumatized, sometimes you have to intentionally search for it. Sometimes you're not even able to label the feeling. You have buried it so far. And that is a part of what codependents do. They wall off their own feelings. And they do that so that they won't be hurt, so that they won't feel disappointed or anger. The belief is if you can pretend or convince yourself that you're not hurt or angry, you'll continue to allow people to take credit for your work or mistreat you in other ways. Something happens and it bothers you. You were at work. Let's take work. Let's take it in your home. You were at home or you were at work and you did something that you're really proud of, maybe you cooked a really good meal, or maybe you proposed something, you finished a project at work and you're really, really proud of it and it's really good, but no one gives you the praise that you want. People may say they don't like it. And deep down inside, that hurts. And if someone says to you, are you okay? You don't want people to know it. So you say, well, I'm good. No, I'm fine. I understand. But deep down inside, you're full of hurt. You're full of sadness. You're feeling incomplete. You're feeling worthless. And those are ways that we wall off our feelings. We deny them. And I need you to know that that's not healthy. All feelings are just feelings. We're going to have the feelings. The real benefit or the real challenge is what will you do with it? And walling them off and not admitting that you have them is not healthy. Now, there are some more healthy things you can do, which we will talk about later. But starting with first, just acknowledging that this is how you feel. And then you can decide what your next action will be. But the first step is acknowledging how you really feel. The next one is codependents don't ask for what they need. And I talked about that a little earlier in yesterday's video. It says one of the offshoots of suppressing our feelings is that without attuning to and understanding our feelings, we don't know what we need. And that may be the real reason why we don't ask for what we need, because we don't know what we need. What we know is that we don't want to be hurt. What we know is that we don't want to be afraid. What we know is that we want to feel safe, but we don't know what we need to attain that. And so a lot of times we sit back and we are hoping that someone can figure it out for us. We're hoping that someone can say, oh, maybe if I do this for her, this will, be a nice gesture. This will make her happy. But in a lot of instances, it doesn't, because we're still searching for that one thing that we have not defined and nobody else knows what it is. And the reality is other people can't define that for us. Other people can't find that for us. Now, they may be helpful in assisting us to get to that place, but ultimately finding our happy is an inside job. Finding your place of contentment is up to you. And I'm not saying you can't get assistance, but a lot of times we don't ask for what we need because we don't know what we need. And so a part of learning what you need so you're no longer codependent is to be able to trust a little bit and to be able to ask for what you need. Now, one of the challenges in asking for what you need is you're afraid that you may hear no. But no is not a bad thing. At least you asked, because guess what? You may hear no, but you might hear yes. And because we don't ask at all, we miss those opportunities where the yeses abound. Okay? And so the next one is codependents give even when it hurts. Caretaking and enabling are hallmarks of codependency. We love to take care of other people. As I said yesterday, we find ourselves enabling other people's foolishness or malfunctioning. What makes it unhappy is that codependents will put their time, energy, and money into helping or doing for others, even when it causes them distress or hardship. We will help other people even when it negatively affects us. The old folks used to say, we keep throwing good money after bad. We will continue to help. We will continue to give. It's like a bottomless money pit. That's the enabling. You know when that person asks for some money that they're going to take it and go buy some drugs or buy some alcohol. You know that a person who is not fully committed to your relationship, that when you keep giving them chance after chance, they're going to keep on cheating on you. You know that someone who can't manage their money, you keep bailing them out and paying their rent and giving them money for their car note. They haven't learned anything. And now you're struggling. Now your credit is getting jacked up because you done co-signed for a car for whoever, and they done had one repossessed, but you still keep continuing to try to rescue them, even to your own detriment. And it's really bad when a codependent is giving so much to their partner, so much to their husband or spouse, and their children are lacking because they're putting so much time and so much energy. Codependency takes time. And somebody's not going to get all they need. And sometimes that somebody who's not getting what they need is you, the codependent. And so that sums up our traits of codependency. I'm going to read them through really quickly just so you can remember. Codependency is a response to trauma. It can feel shameful. And you can go back and watch yesterday's video for the recap. It's an unhealthy focus on other people's problems, feelings, and needs. Codependents are very sensitive to criticism. Codependents are super responsible, and what we talked about today, codependents wall off their own feelings. They have a hard time identifying and owning their own emotions. They don't ask for what they need, but expect people to figure it out, and get very disappointed and very angry because they're not getting their needs met. And sometimes they don't even know what those needs are themselves. And they give even when it hurts. You continue to pour good money after bad. You continue to enable dysfunctional behaviors. The good thing is codependency is not a mental health diagnosis. It's not. Many people with codependency have clinical levels of anxiety, meaning high anxiety or low depression, and they often have post-traumatic stress disorder, which was due to the trauma. But codependency itself, in and of itself, is not a mental disorder. Hallelujah. Even though there's nothing wrong with having a mental disorder, it's just something you can work on. But then that's what this author says, is just because there's something going on doesn't mean that you are it's not something to walk around in shame. It just means that you need some help, and counseling and therapy can help you. Okay? You may feel empty and defective. I like this. You may feel empty and defective, but that does not mean that you are empty and defective. Again, you may feel like you're empty and defective, but that does not mean that you, the whole you bring your whole self to the equation. It doesn't mean that you are empty and defective. And the good thing with that is you can change your codependent patterns. People can recover. I am a witness. It's not easy, but it is possible. As we talk about using baby steps, it's a gradual change that requires lots of practice and openness to, hear me out, trying new things and feeling a little uncomfortable in the process. Whenever we change something, it's going to feel a little uncomfortable. I bought a new pair of tennis shoes, and whenever I get a new pair of tennis shoes, because I wait so long to buy them in between, my feet have gotten used to what it feels like to walk in some shoes that no longer are very healthy for me. So when I get something that's new, there's a bit of a time of me adjusting to it. Initially, it does not necessarily feel as good because the new shoe is supporting me the way I should be supported. And my foot that's been used to not being supported in that area is kind of pushing against it. But what I've learned is if I stay with the process, my foot will begin to conform to a healthier way of being. And that's the same thing with codependency or recovering from anything. If you can any type of change, if you can give yourself permission to stay in the process, gradually it will begin to feel better. Gradually you'll begin to really look forward to it. Gradually you'll begin to adopt new practices that are healthier for you. I'm going to end by saying what this author says, codependency is not your fault, but you are the only one who can change it. And I do want to shout out the author of this article. Her name is Sharon Martin, and it's under a blog called Live Well and Love Your Life. I don't know her, just happened to find her. But I agree with what she stated. Again, I don't believe in recreating the wheel. If someone has information I can share, I'm going to share what they wrote, but I will also attribute it to it was someone else. I just added my own filler. I just filled in the spaces where I felt it was appropriate. I invite you to have a wonderful weekend. Can't guarantee that I'm going to do a video tomorrow. It's always my plan, but I play it by ear. But whatever you do this weekend, find places and spaces where you can find joy, possibly peace, possibly happiness, where you can feel connected, where you can exhale. And I invite you to do it on purpose. Love you all. Bye-bye.